ingrained in our very language. And the simplest rule of weight loss: don't eat all the time. Give yourself a break from eating so that you can burn those calories, which is simply food energy. Body fat is just a store of that food energy. It's not there for looks. It's a source of calories, food energy. So give your body a chance to use it up. So here's a very simple fasting protocol. Just start with a 12 to 14 hour fasting period. That just means cutting out bedtime snacks, and make sure that you cut out the snacks in between meals as well. If you finish dinner time, for example, at 6 p.m., and you were to eat breakfast at 8 a.m., that's a 14-hour period of fasting. That's a good way to let your body get into that fasted state. And this was the way that people ate in the 1970s. And they stayed relatively thin without obsessing about what they were eating, because they were looking at the times that they were eating. Then what you can do is gradually lengthen that out if you want to. If you have more weight to lose, then you can gradually lengthen it out to 16 hours or 20 hours, and you can also build it into certain days of the week. For example, if every Monday you know you're going to be really busy at work, maybe you're going to work right through breakfast and only have a 8-hour feeding window and 16-hour fasting window at that time. I'm going to give you a few tips to get started. First, ride the hunger waves. Expect that you will be hungry. When you start anything new, your body needs to adjust. So if you start increasing your fasting period, you're going to be hungry because your body is expecting to eat and you're not eating. Well, that's normal, but keep in mind that the hunger does not persist. All the studies of hunger show that when you don't eat, your body will feed itself through the body fat or the stored calories, and the hunger will go away. And we've all experienced this when you miss breakfast, for example. Yes, you're hungry at first, but then eventually your hunger goes away. It doesn't keep building and building. Let it go over you like a wave. Just ignore it. And that takes me to my number one tip, which is that you need to stay busy. And that's how you're going to take your mind off of it. So there's lots of things that you can do. You can take a bubble bath. You can listen to music. You can call your parents. You can do some dusting. You can organize your room. You can do some spring cleaning. Exercise is a great way to take your mind off of things, because as you start exercising, all the blood goes to your muscles and you stop thinking about it. Especially exercises that are like games, like tennis. You get so engrossed in it that you forget that you didn't eat. And your body is naturally going to reduce that hunger. So try playing a game of pick-up basketball or tennis or badminton or ping pong or something during that time that you would normally eat. There are certain things that are important to not do. Social media is probably a big one of them, because there's a lot of food. A lot of times when you go on TV also, there's a lot of advertisements. And you don't want to be reminded of food when you're fasting. It's just not a good idea. Grocery shopping is also something is very difficult to do, because you're going to tend to want to buy things and then you're going to be reminded. Cooking, going to a mall where there's lots of food courts, for example, and there's smells of the food court. Those are probably not a good thing. Also, parties are very difficult because oftentimes there's food. And so those are things that are best not to do during fasting. And the good thing about fasting is it's totally flexible. You can arrange it to do yourself. You have to expect a few things when you start fasting so that you can take care of those problems. For example, headaches and dizziness can happen. And taking a little bit of salt is often very beneficial, because the people do get sometimes a little bit dehydrated when they start fasting. Constipation can happen, as well as diarrhea, and you can use some laxatives, for example, if you have constipation, or bulking agents such as psyllium husk. You may find changes in your blood glucose. You may find changes in your energy. In fact, people tend to get more energy, so that sometimes they even get insomnia. And what you want to do is just make sure that you're relaxing before bedtime. And finally, the biggest 3 fasting mistakes. One is triggers. So oftentimes We get hungry because we're triggered. Whether it's the smells of the food or socializing or the situation, it's the environment that puts us in danger of breaking the fast. Number two is doing it alone. Everything is easier when you do it with somebody, so try to find somebody that will support you, somebody you can talk to about it,